This week on Let's Fish TV, we're at Toledo Bend Reservoir. This is a lake that I grew up on, and it has a large number of crappie. And today, it's not so much where we're at, but it's what we are using. You know, I'm gonna teach you a technique that works in conjunction with Lowrance active target or any forward-facing sonar that really will help you load the boat this fall. It's made to fish around isolated pieces of cover. Whether it's bridge pilings, brush piles, or stumps, it doesn't really matter, but this technique is what I use when I want to catch me a big number of crappie, especially some really big slabs. I have a good feeling about today, and I know we're going to catch them. Let's Fish TV is on the air right now.
That is a fish. Oh man, look at this.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southwest region every week.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, look at that. Woo!
This is Let's Fish.
Welcome to Let's Fish TV. I'm your host, Andrew Upshaw, and today we're on Toledo Bend Reservoir. You know, it's not so much about where we are today, but what we are going to be doing. Today I'm going to be teaching you a technique to help you catch fish using Lowrance active target or any forward-facing sonar. And today we're going to be targeting one of my favorite fish, and that would be crappie. You know, the crappie are biting like crazy here, and I had to come out here and show you exactly how to catch them. This little rig that we'll be fishing will definitely help you the next time you're on the water. We'll also have this week's fishing report from your local region from our insider reporter. In the meantime, I'm going to get this bass cat launched, get everything set up, and toss it back to the studio for your weekend planning.
Hi everybody, thanks so much for tuning in again this week. The Salooner tables are predicting fair game fish activity Saturday and Sunday. Look for peak activity to begin in the early morning around 1:13 on Saturday and 2:04 on Sunday, with afternoon action kicking off at 1:38 Saturday and 2:29 Sunday. Depending on your local area, expect the sun to rise around 6:56 and set around 5:29, and evenings will feature a moon that's 83% visible. Stick with us. When we return, we will have fishing reports from throughout the area, and I'll return with the 2022 Bassmaster Classic champ Jason Christie to answer your Ask a Pro question.
All right guys, today I have a special show for you. We are going to be out here on Toledo Bend, one of my favorite lakes in the country, and we're going to be targeting crappie. But I have a special technique that I want to show you. We're going to be using really light line, lightweight jig heads, and hopefully catching some of those big fall crappie. The weather's nice. We've got a big storm rolling in, so we got to get out there. Hopefully we'll catch us a few big crappie before the day's end. Let's get out there and see what happens. There we go. That's a good crappie there. Oh man, that's gonna be a nice one, guys. Oh man, there we go. There we go. Check out that slab. My goodness. Look at that nice Toledo Bend crappie. Today we're here on Toledo Bend, and it's not so much about where we are today as much as it is how we are fishing. And today I have a really special episode that I'm sharing with you guys. I'm gonna share with you a really secret crappie technique that we've used for a really long time to catch these crappie. Let me get this crappie back. But let's talk about this for just a second. You know, we have a really nice fall day. Nothing really crazy out here. Everybody's in the deer stand right now, but we're out here on the water catching really nice fish. We got a really big storm rolling in, and a lot of times this time of year when you have these fronts roll in is when those crappie seem to bite the best, and that is what we are dealing with today. But I have a really special show. We're gonna be talking about super light line, using your active target, and a cool little split shot rig that we've been using here for a really long time that I know will definitely help you catch more fish. But I'm gonna get back out there. I know these crappie are getting ready to bite really good, and I know I'm gonna catch me a few more. So yeah, this place is loaded up, and I'm gonna show you here in just a little while just how good this spot is.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here with this week's Let's Fish Outdoor Report, coming to you from Hackberry, Louisiana, right here at Cajun Paradise Charter. Tell you what, we're going to start off talking about this area, but we're going to talk about bass fishing. Black Bayou, the Sabine River. I tell you what, this time of year, when a little front pushes through, the water really drops out the marshes and starts flowing out of these little cuts. Lots of bass getting caught, but believe it or not, live shrimp is tearing them up. Don't really hear that too often, but yes, live shrimp, they're tearing the black bass up. Fishing under a popping cork with a lightweight, or just throw it out and let it free swim. And I'm telling you what, they're catching some bass up to 3 and 4 pounds. On the saltwater side of things, a couple different things going on. I talked to Bill Lake in Houma. He's still catching big reds. Cracked crab seems to be the key there. Good reports down from Venice, Louisiana. Mike Frenette's catching some big bull reds. Also offshore, tuna, a couple billfish still getting caught. I tell you what, it won't be long. The wahoo will start running down there out of Venice. Right here on Calcasieu Lake, we're in the full swing, late fall pattern, early winter. Lots of redfish getting caught, shallow, popping corks, live shrimp, gold spoons, trout, 1/8 and 1/4 ounce jig heads. Look for the birds working. Tell you what, can't go wrong there. Lots of fish getting caught. For Old Cajun Phil, I'm Captain Kevin Broussard saying happy fishing, may God bless, and we're going to see you next week. Let's fish.
There we go. There's another nice one. Man, this little technique is just so killer on crappie in the fall. Another nice slab. I mean, check out that crappie, guys. Another nice one here. And the way we're fishing is so special. I mean, like, I can't begin to tell you how important it is to rig your bait the way that we have it and have your rig set up. Another nice slab there. God, I mean, they're just nice, solid crappie, and that's what you want this time of year. But let's talk about the rig for a minute. I'm not going to tell you all the baits and all that stuff yet. We'll talk about that more as the episode goes on. But as you can tell, I have a split shot here, and I have a really light jig head. This jig head is a 1/32 ounce jig head with a Strike King Lightning Shad. This Lightning Shad is in the blue ice color, but this is a number 7 split shot. So everybody's gonna say, well, why don't you just go to a heavier jig head? Well, the whole point of this is to almost float this jig head behind the split shot. So the split shot's gonna weigh more than the crappie jig, so it actually will pendulum down. The other big key here is light fluorocarbon. You know, don't get me wrong, Mr. Crappie himself would probably get really mad at me for saying this, but he really likes throwing 10-pound mono. In this case, I'm throwing 6-pound fluorocarbon, and it is really important for the technique that I'm using and the way that I'm rigging my bait. Because if you don't use that 6-pound fluorocarbon, it doesn't fall through the water at the right speed, and in this situation, speed is everything. So rig that up, put it about 12 to 18 inches above your jig head, and you'll see that rig pendulum down, and that's when you're gonna catch those crappie. But we're gonna talk about more of the technique here in just a minute. I got a chance to go catch me a few more, so y'all just stay tuned, guys.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lose, Feel the Difference, Mamba Boats, Ride with Pride, Strike King, Tie One On, Glacier Glove, stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Fishing Specialties, makers of the premier mount assembly for live sonar.
There we go. God, that was the hardest crappie bite ever. Just knocked slack in the line. Another nice big old crappie. There we go. God, that was the hardest crappie bite ever. Just knocked slack in the line. Another nice big old crappie here. Check this out. Oh, there we go. I mean, just look at that, guys. Nice crappie. And it's all about the rig and the way we were fishing today. You know, I barely had that fish skin hooked. Another nice, I mean, that's another good 12, 13 inch crappie there. I mean, perfect eating size, and that's what you want this time of year, is that eating size. But let me explain the technique here. So I've talked about, you know, the jig head and the size of the jig head. And let me just rephrase, this is not a painted head. So we're not using like a pink head, orange head, or any special color. This is just a lead head. This is a Mr. Crappie 32nd ounce jig head. But the technique is the most critical thing. So obviously I'm using active target. I'm finding, in this situation, it's a stump under the water and this big school of crappie is sitting right on top of it. And what I'm doing is I'm pitching past the stump. But the whole technique idea of this is I'm just keeping my line super tight and I'm watching the bait pendulum down. So, you know, it's all about boat positioning. I don't want to be right on top of the stump, but I also don't want to be 50 feet away from the stump. I want to be about 15 to 20 feet away from the stump. I'm going to cast about 5 to 7 feet past where I want to actually present my bait, and I'm going to let it just glide down. So the cool thing is I'm not just letting it glide the entire time. You know, there's the stump is there under the water where they're sitting. And the cool thing about active target, I'm not necessarily watching the fish eat my bait, but I can know when my bait is getting to that stump, and I want to keep it right at the top side of that stump. So what I'll do is I'll lift my rod up a little bit and I'll let it glide just over the top of it. You know, a lot of times whenever we didn't have this forward facing sonar, is we'd actually snag that stump so many times because that bait would be gliding down there, and then you would just snag into it and you'd miss your chance at a crappie. But in this case, I can lift that rod up and I'm just moving my rod. I'm not reeling and doing all this stuff. I'm just using my rod and almost dragging it like a worm across the bottom, but I'm not on the bottom. The bait is gliding down and I'm controlling my glide. And you can do this using active target around bridge pilings, you know, big trees, brush piles. You can do this around a lot of different types of cover, but that is how I do it. And I promise you guys, if you try this technique out, you're gonna load the boat up this fall on some big old slabs. But I got this school fired up. I'm gonna see if I can catch me a couple more.
Hey, we've had some rain, the water temperatures have really dropped, and the fishing has really heated up here in Oklahoma for all species and for a lot of places all across the state. Bass fishing, several good reports coming in of guys having good luck fishing shallow. Lots of reports using a Yum Dinger 4 or 5 inch sizes rigged on a stand-up jig head, throwing it right up against the bank, because most of those fish are coming from up against the shoreline. Crappie fishing right now, good both from out in the open water areas around brush piles and some of the break lines, but also in the fishing docks. Our state is blessed with a lot of fishing dock areas that you have access to, a lot of fee fishing areas, and several inside heated fishing docks to take advantage of. And that type of fishing is really good from right now all the way through the first of the new year into February. Now, most guys I talked today here at Claremore Lake, they're having good success fishing everything from minnows to tiny jigs. It seemed like the tiny baits were working best, something in the inch to inch and a quarter size, and the best success was coming down about 6 to 8 foot of water. Also good options for dock fishing, obviously at Fort Gibson Lake, Eufaula, Grand Lake, and several others across the state. Check out our dock fishing opportunities. White bass, they're along the shoreline, especially the windy banks right now. Again, things shallow. Go with either an action tail swimming crappie bait like the stroller, or go with a small inline spinner like a rooster tail in a 1/16 ounce size. Right against the shoreline, windy banks, you can catch them. Fishing's good in Oklahoma, but you can't catch them if you don't go.
There he is. Oh yeah, another nice slab right there. Talk about calling your shot. I saw the stump, I saw the fish kind of acting funny towards it, and here we go. Case in point, having the right setup, having your electronics set up the right way, everything is so important when you're out here crappie fishing. You know, the day and age of going out there just dropping a minnow over the side of the boat, I mean, you can still do it, and you can still catch crappie doing it. But I'm just telling you right now, guys, it is just so different these days, especially with stuff like active target and just the sheer understanding of how these crappies set up.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury. Go boldly. Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Plan or book your fishing charter at orangebeach.com. Motor Guides Tour Pro with GPS anchor, powered by Passion. Coastline Trailers, built by fishermen for fishermen.
There he is. Oh, wow. That's a pretty good crappie here, guys. All right, that's the right spot right there. There he is. Oh, wow. That's a pretty good crappie here, guys. Like a really nice crappie. Oh, yeah, sure is. Look at that size of that crappie right there. Holy cow. My goodness, look at that crappie right there. You know, using that active target is so crucial. I knew where I presented my bait right there that I was probably about to get a bite. And, I mean, just perfectly hooked that 32nd ounce jig head. But I'm going to bring you up here and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm looking at on active target that makes it so unique. So come join me up here. I'm going to get this fish back and we'll go take a look at everything. So as you can see, here is the school of crappie that I'm fishing for. There's a stump right here. And as you can tell right up here in front of me, here is the big stump that I am fishing. You know, but this is the school of crappie that's sitting right off the edge of this particular tree. And there's one side stump that is located right here off the side of that. And every time I pendulum my bait, I'm actually gonna pitch it to about 27 feet and I'm gonna pendulum it down. And if I hit the top of this stump right here, that is where I get my bites almost every single time. So as you can see, you know, it's really, really important to pay attention to those little bitty details. You know, crappie, just like bass or any other species of fish, especially a predatory type fish like a crappie is, they use everything as ambush points. You know, can you catch open water crappie that are just swimming up under the water? Absolutely. Guys through Mississippi, Alabama, they catch them like that all the time, open water on bait fish. But in this situation, these fish are ambushing the bait, the shad, or the minnows that are swimming by this stump. So every time I get the perfect cast and I can get just about 5 to 7 feet past that stump and I let that crappie jig pendulum down, that is when they're ambushing it. And I mean, it is one of the hardest strikes that you've ever felt.
Hi everybody and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by the good folks at HB Hunting Products. Their easy reach feeders will keep you off a ladder with that bag of corn over your shoulder, and they're made right here in Texas and made to last a lifetime. This week we're going to start at Lake Tawakoni and we're going to try to catch some hybrids in all the usual areas. Cloud, SRA, Wolf. That's where you're going to want to go. Look for the birds, and then when you find some birds and some fish on your electronics, drop down with your slabs or use a 1 ounce jig head with a swim bait type body in a shad or glow color for those hybrids on Tawakoni. Now at Texoma, smallies are on fire. Guide Dylan Lyons has been catching 30 to 40 fish a day with his best 5 going 25 pounds and better. That means it is time to get out there and catch some smallies on Texoma. You can start the day with topwaters. You can use your spinner baits and yum dingers and such a little later in the day, but your best bet all day long is probably going to be a small square bill type crankbait that'll dive to 6 feet. Throw it up in the shallows. Again, shad colors or citrus shad colors for those Texoma smallies. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes. Be sure and look us up on Facebook, Lone Star Lakes.
There's one. There we go. Oh, there we go. Not a bad little crappie. Man, what a day today has been. You know, the slabs have definitely shown up today. We caught quite a few really, really nice crappie. All of them, honestly, between that 12 and 14 inch range. This is probably around that 12 inch range there. Not a bad little slab. But you know, today it was more so about teaching y'all a technique that y'all might not have ever used before. Yes, we all have forward-facing sonar, and yes, you can target individual fish with it, but when you get on these types of places where you're fishing isolated pieces of cover and you have a nice school of fish on it, you gotta change up your approach just a little bit to be able to catch those fish. You know, today I was using a technique of gliding that bait around, but a little bit different than most of us. Remember that, you have to put that split shot on there. Number 7 is the key size, that's the one we always use, and the 32nd ounce jig head. And that is gonna help you have most success because remember, that split shot falls first and then that jig head, that lighter jig head falls second. And that gliding action, that real soft action through there is just so important because especially this time of year, the fish are a little bit more lethargic and you gotta really lay that bait right in front of their face. But guys, what an awesome day it's been. The storms are getting ready to roll in. I've got to get this boat back to the boat ramp and get it loaded up, and we're gonna talk about exactly what you can do to help you catch more crappie here in just a minute.
Watch our latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors, making it easier than ever to gear up and have fun out there. Visit Mississippi, Wanderers welcome. Power Pole, total boat control. Balls Out, made in the USA, heavy duty mounts for your fish finders.
Welcome back everyone. Let's get right on over to your Ask the Pro question for this week. This week, Xander would like to know, do you still use a monofilament line for anything, or do you just use fluorocarbon? For the answer, we asked the 2022 Bassmaster Classic champ, Jason Christie.
So one of the questions I get is, do I still use monofilament? There's one application that I do, and that's for a leader on a topwater. You know, back in the day, we used all monofilament, and then, you know, we still use it on topwaters because of its buoyancy, and I went to all braid with topwaters, and I used like a 3-foot leader. Literally, when I make my line order, each year I order one spool of monofilament, and all I use it for is leaders.
Thank you, Jason. If you want some help as well from one of our pros, simply go to letsfishtv.com, follow that Ask the Pro link to submit your question.
Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Today on Toledo Bend, I was using one rod almost the entire day, and that was my split shot rig. You know, it's so important to pay attention to little details, and that's what we were using today. We were really paying attention to our active target and how we were presenting our bait. But the rig is so key when you're using active target. This allows you to see the rig under the water so much better than just having a straight jig head. The number 7 style split shot, round split shot, 32nd ounce Mr. Crappie jig head. You know, I use this one a lot too because the hook will straighten out. So when I get snagged on a piece of wood or a brush pile, a lot of times I can straighten that hook out and keep using the same jig head over and over. I was using a Blue Ice lightning shad, a Strike King Mr. Crappie lightning shad. This thing is just, it's just my go-to bait. It doesn't matter where I'm at or what I'm fishing for when it comes to crappie. They just love that lightning shad a lot. I was using the Wally Marshall Speed Shooter Combo. This is a 6-foot medium light with a 100 size spinning reel and the Strike King Contra fluorocarbon, this 6-pound test. I can't stress to you enough about why it is so important to use 6-pound when you're crappie fishing, but let me tell you, the results just show you just how good it actually is. But guys, I really hope you learned how to find and catch them here on Toledo Bend and how to use that split shot technique the next time that you're out there on the water. Until next time, I'll see you on the water.